Hey everyone, I want to do this video because I thought that some of this information might be helpful for some of you folks out there. I have been trying to figure out what is the lightest possible setup for me to be able to travel around the city. I live in New York City. I don't own a car, so most of the time I travel using the subway. Sometimes if it's short distance, I do Uber here and there, but most of the time the public transportation is the way to go for me. And as you know, a lot of the subway station, there is an elevator or escalator. I have to carry all my gear up the stairs and down the stairs. The reason why I have been hunting for a setup like this is because I broke my back. A year ago, I was carrying the Moog Subsequent 37, which is over there. But you know, don't get me wrong, because I love the Moog Sub 37, right? But it's 22 pounds. And it's mono, which means that I need to carry another synthesizer to play chords, which is polyphonic. So I have been carrying around the Subsequent 37 and the Mini XC around the city on my back, and it was brutal. I didn't realize that until my back gave away and said, hey girl, like, no. That's why I'm on the hunt to figure out what's the lightest possible setup for me to be able to just carry around the keyboards without hurting my back. When searching for a keyboard, synthesizer, or MIDI controller, I have a couple of criteria in mind. So the first criteria for me is that I need a decent piano sound. Like, it's very personal because there are certain piano sounds I just can't deal with that because it affects how I play, right? The piano sound should sound professional. It shouldn't be like toy-ish kind of, you know, like how you find like some keyboards in the departmental store. Like those keyboards, the sound, I just cannot deal with that kind of sound. So to me, the piano sound, it has to be decent. And the basic sounds would be piano and EP or Rhodes. Then the second criteria for me is definitely it has to be velocity sensitive. That is one of the criteria. Like I don't think I can deal with something that is not sensitive because again, it will affect the playability. That's like one of the top criteria for me. Piano sound, velocity sensitive is a must. Right, and then the third thing, obviously, is going to be the weight, right? I'm trying to figure out, is it possible to bring down the weight to below 10 pounds? So I'm trying to find something that is between 7 to maybe 9 or 10. 10 is a little bit stretching it, but I want to be able to carry something that is as light as possible. That's the best case scenario. The fourth criteria for me is how long is the keyboard or the length of the keyboard, right? So there is 25 keys, 37, 49, and then 61, 73, and then 88. 25 is like 2 octaves, right? Typically the gigs that I do, I need to play the bass. So that's kind of like 1 octave. And then I need to be able to play the chords, which is another octave. And I need to play the melody as well, and sometimes solo. That is about like 2 or 3 octaves. So at the bare minimum for me, I need 49 keys, which is like about 4 octaves. 37 is not going to cut it for me. So I need to have at least 49 keys. So 61 would be the best case scenario because you don't need to worry that, okay, I'm going to run out of keys on my left hand or run out of keys when I try to do a solo. 73 and 88 is a little bit too long because it's not going to be that portable. I also did take into consideration how am I going to bring this around, right? So there are different gig bags around, right? Either you buy like a 61 gig bag and then you put it in and then you carry on your shoulder, or you have like the trolley thing going on. But for a 49 and 61 keys, I don't think there's anything in the market out there that has wheels. I think most of the gig bags that has wheels, they are either like 88 keys or 73 keys. In the end, I decided that I want to put all my gear, all my equipment and my synthesizer and whatnot into a luggage, because that will be so much easier to transport around rather than putting it on a trolley and then have to pull it around and climbing up the stairs and down the stairs. It's just brutal. I went to the store and I tried to find the largest possible commercial luggage out there in the market. And so what I found out is that there's like 25 inches tall, I think there's 27, 29, the largest is 32 inches. And based on that, I figured that the 49 keys would be the most decent size to be able to fit into a luggage of a 32 inches tall luggage. I have two options. One is to find a keyboard synthesizer which has the sound banks built into the keyboard, or I can go with the Midi controller. If I were to go with the Midi controller, I need to take into consideration the weight of the audio interface, right, and the iPad as well, because that's kind of like how I get my sounds, rather than the synthesizer which already has the built-in sounds. So in the market for synthesizers, I think the first thing that came to mind was the Juno DS61, right? I think it's marketed as the lightweight synthesizer or keyboard. So the DS61 is, I think, like 12 or 13 pounds. It's definitely over 10 pounds, but that's still considered as a very lightweight options if you want to consider that. Right, the second option for me is the Roland Gold keys. It's 3.3 kg, which converts to about, I think, 8-ish pounds. It's awesome because it's so lightweight, and then it has all the built-in sounds, which I think is decent enough to play for a professional gig. Moving on to the MIDI controllers for the 9 keys, there's a lot of options out there, like Novation, Arturia, great MIDI controllers, but they are a little bit on the heavy side because there's a lot of functionalities, like all the pads on top and the sides. So it just didn't quite fit my criteria, right? They are great MIDI controllers, it's just that because I'm looking for very, very lightweight and compact MIDI controller. So I was considering I think it was M Audio Alesis, Roland A49, and also the Nectar Impact 49. So these 4 options, for me, it was like the lighter version of the 49 keys. But again, right, that was the criteria of the 32-inch tall luggage. Out of these 4 options, only one MIDI controller actually fits the 32-inch criteria. In the end, I drew it down to a couple options, which is Roland, Alesis, M Audio, Nectar Impact 49, and also the korg micro key. Right, so korg micro key, to be honest, it was like the top option for me because it's only, I think, 2 pounds, so it's very lightweighted, and that's the first thing that I bought. So this is the micro key that I bought, which is the first MIDI controller, the lightweight versions that I have. And I brought it out for, I think, 2 or 3 gigs, right? The first and the second gig, it was fine. I love it. It's so lightweight that there's practically nothing. So I brought this for 2 or 3 gigs and it works okay, right? It's very lightweight. But when I was at the 3rd gig, I realized that I was playing the wrong notes because I was playing a lot of octaves, complicated runs, and I keep playing 2 notes at the same time because it's so small. Like usually octave is like that, but when you play it here, it's like, oh, it's more than an octave. To improve my playability and accuracy of the notes that I play, I would need a full-size key, unfortunately. That brings me to the Nectar GX49. So this is the second MIDI controller that I bought. It's full size, it's lightweighted, and it's touch sensitive, which is great. And this is the only option out there that is below 32 inches, and therefore I got this. In terms of playability, it has velocity sensitive, which is great. I plug this through my audio interface, and then I connect it with my iPad, so it works fine. I think this is like in total with my audio interface, which is I think like 1-ish pound, 1 pound probably, and then my iPad probably 2 pounds. This is like another, I think like 3-4 pounds. In total, it comes to about like 7-ish pounds, which is great. Yeah, I think that's it. Hopefully this video is useful for some of you guys out there.